Well, here's some good news. That actually, if a lot of people are worried about the New World Order, the control freaks, the banksters, and all that type of stuff, and sometimes police do overdo things and stuff. But this is an interesting thing that happened in Germany. The police actually took off their helmets and marched with the protesters against the Rothschild-controlled European Central Bank. The police and the protesters joined hands, basically, against the bank. And I want to point this out too. I don't know what the actual mixture is of who is what, but even in places like we heard about Utah, the sheriffs would defend their oath, and defend the Constitution of the United States against any kind of federal encroachment. Well, even in Newark, New Jersey, which sometimes a lot of people associate with more, anti-constitutional type thinking, but not by everybody, obviously. It looks like and I know this they kind of had to take these patches off. There were some police in Newark, New Jersey. They were wearing these patches. They were called 3% patches. I can't find the article on that again, but I just read it not long ago. But 3% represents the number of colonists, or of the percentage of population during the time of the Revolutionary War that broke away from the UK. 3% represents how many people actually took up arms and was in the revolution. So like these police in Newark, New Jersey, some of them were wearing patches that said 3%ers or 3%ers. In other words, they're going to protect their oath in the Constitution of the United States. So it's not just in Utah. It's also in the heart of inner city New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. Now, I know the Southern Law Poverty Center, which is kind of a misnomer when you have that word poverty, because there's big bucks behind this organization. They made them take those patches off. But obviously, it's in their hearts and their minds that they will defend the Constitution of the United States. And also in Germany, where they're not defending the Constitution of the United States or anything, but they're joined hands with the protesters against the Rothschild-controlled European Central Bank. The police actually marched with the protesters and took off their helmets. But, in the supposed, I don't know what do you want to call this, I don't want people freaking out about everything every left and right, because basically, what people should be standing for is just simply the Bill of Rights. I never say we are formed a Christian nation or anything. It's fine. If you're Christian, fine, you're Christian. But, the Bill of Rights, basically, number one, in the beginning, besides freedom of speech, it says it shall not establish a religion or prohibit the free exercise of religion. Basically, government stays out of religion. So, it's not necessarily something about, we were established a Christian nation. It has nothing to do with it. The Bill of Rights just protects individual civil rights, and it's individual civil rights. That's really what it is, on a multi-level way. And we don't actually need the Bill of Rights to grant us rights. I understand that 100%, but it's a good thing it's there, because it works as a check against excess government. The anti-federalists are correct. But, just to point out, if you go back to the supposed, everybody learns in history about the Revolutionary War. They took up arms against, oppressive taxation and things like that, and control freaks or whatever they were doing. Well, you know what I mean. Actually today, they probably would have done it like at least 80 years ago, because we got more repressive taxation than it was ever by the UK in the United States now. There's so many regulations. But it was only 3% that actually fought in a Revolutionary War. Most of the people were kind of like on the sidelines or loyalists. So that, that tells you something. Really, that tells you something. You're not going to have, if you're, I don't know if you want to call it a truth, or I would say you should be more of a Bill of Rightist, basically, more than anything. Because that's just fair and square all the way around for everybody. That's individual civil rights for everybody. Don't matter what your religion is or what you believe, everybody's got rights, inherent rights. So that's probably the best thing to stick with as far as, common sense, and we're not getting really super complicated. But, we got people today in the United States, even in Newark, New Jersey, in inner city areas, that are police that staunchly believe in the Bill of Rights and what the United States was formed for and what it's about. And obviously, you'll see declarations by the police and the sheriffs in Utah, Wyoming, and North Carolina, and things like that. But it seems to exist pretty much everywhere, and some people are staunchly for it. So it looks like the New World Order. I don't know what the deal is. These guys are such damn control freaks. It's so stupid. It's like the people they are placing in charge to keep control are basically revolting too. So, the best way to keep the pressure on is actually to keep the truth out. And I guess the simplest thing, it's always to keep reminding people of, is the Bill of Rights. That's like the simplest thing around. What our rights really are. And that's what makes America America more than anything. And, I know the Bill of Rights gets violated in different ways, but just the fact that it's still there and it's the ultimate law of the land has a lot of implications, because, if it never existed, the United States would be far worse off condition than it is right now. But it's interesting to note that even in, besides the United States, in places like Newark, New Jersey, the police seem to be 100% on the side of the civil and individual rights of Americans, and also in Germany, where they don't have no Bill of Rights, but they realize that the protesters are inherently correct about protesting against the Rothschild-controlled European Central Bank, and the police actually joined together with the protesters, took off their helmets, and marched in the protest themselves. So what do the control freaks on the top do then? It could probably get them a little bit worried, but they play cool and all that stuff, and they back off. But it's almost like you got to keep the pressure on those bastards, because they're just too much control freaks on the top. It seems to be a type of a character of a person that always gets on the top. They're control freaks. But anyway, I'll post a link to this story. I found it very interesting because, it's like you never want to be like, well, you want to be overly exuberant police, that type, but you don't want to be anti-police. You don't want to be anti-police, in a normal faction, because basically we're all working together against this kind of fascist establishment called the New World Order. And, it looks like there's a lot of awakening going on too, which is cool, which is a good thing.